The sleek command vessel of the Galactic Confederation cut through the emptiness of space. Its engines hummed quietly as it approached the blue planet. Supreme Commander Vorn stood on the bridge, his four eyes fixed on the main screen. The data flowing across it made no sense to him. "This cannot be correct," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "The primitive species we observed 500,000 cycles ago could barely harness fire." His science officer, Tennel, moved closer to the console. Her six-fingered hands danced across the controls as she double-checked the readings. "The signals are undeniable, Supreme Commander," she said. "The primates have advanced significantly." Vorn's secondary eyes blinked rapidly while his primary pair remained fixed on the screen. The blue planet, designated as Observation Point 3721, had been just another monitoring station for the Confederation, a place where primitive life forms were studied and catalogued. Nothing more. "Show me visual confirmation," Vorn ordered. The screen shifted to show the planet's orbit. What Vorn saw made his heart chambers flutter in shock. Massive structures circled the world. Space stations, satellites, and what appeared to be defensive platforms formed a complex network around the planet. "Impossible," he breathed. Meanwhile, aboard the United Earth ship Intrepid, Admiral Park Jin-ho stood with his hands clasped behind his back. His uniform was perfectly pressed, not a wrinkle to be seen. The bridge of his flagship was quiet, the crew working efficiently at their stations. A large holographic display showed the approaching alien vessel in great detail. Admiral Park had been waiting for this moment his entire career. "They'd finally returned," he said calmly to his executive officer. Commander Kim Hanna stood at his side, her posture matching his own. "Yes, Admiral. Just as the archives predicted," she replied. Her dark eyes studied the alien ship with interest. "Shall we initiate first contact protocols?" Admiral Park allowed himself a small smile. "Let them come. Humanity has waited 500,000 years for this moment." He tapped his communication badge. "Deploy the welcome fleet." Throughout Earth's orbital defense network, hidden hangars slid open. Thousands of sleek, obsidian vessels powered up their engines. Each ship bore the insignia of United Earth, a stylized globe surrounded by stars. Within minutes, they moved into formation with practiced precision. Back on the Confederation vessel, alarms began to sound. "Supreme Commander," the tactical officer shouted. "New contacts appearing all around us." Vorn rushed to the tactical station. "How many?" "Hundreds." "No, thousands," the officer replied, his voice shaking. "They're appearing from nowhere. Our sensors didn't detect them until now." On the main screen, Vorn watched as human warships materialized around his vessel. Each was larger than his entire command ship. Their black hulls seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "By the seven suns," Tennel whispered. "Their cloaking technology must be centuries beyond our own." Vorn felt a cold fear growing in his chest. "Are they powering weapons?" The tactical officer checked his readings. "No, Supreme Commander. But they've formed a complete encirclement. We cannot leave without their permission." A new alert sounded, and the communications officer spoke up. "Supreme Commander, we're receiving a transmission from the planet. Audio and visual." "Put it on screen," Vorn ordered. The image of Admiral Park appeared before them. The human looked directly at Vorn, as if he could see him through the screen. "Greetings, visitors," Admiral Park said. His voice was translated perfectly into the Confederation language. "On behalf of United Earth, I welcome you to our home system. We've been expecting your return." Vorn stepped forward. "How is this possible? Your kind was primitive when we last observed this world." Admiral Park's expression didn't change. "We were never as primitive as you believed. Your observation drones were detected 500,000 years ago by our ancestors. We've been preparing for this meeting ever since." The bridge of the Confederation ship fell silent. Vorn felt his legs weaken beneath him. "We invite your diplomatic team to dock with our vessel for formal introductions," Admiral Park continued. A shuttle will guide you in. We look forward to discussing our shared future in the galaxy." The transmission ended, leaving the Confederation crew staring at each other in disbelief. On the Intrepid, Admiral Park turned to Commander Kim. "Prepare the reception hall. Make sure our guests are comfortable, but remind them of our strength." Commander Kim nodded. "Do you think they'll accept our terms?" "They have no choice," Admiral Park replied. "The time for watching from the shadows is over. Humanity is ready to take its place among the stars." He looked out at the vast fleet surrounding the alien vessel. And the galaxy must learn to accept this new reality. Outside, the human fleet held position. The massive warships were motionless against the backdrop of stars. Their very presence sent a clear message. Humanity was no longer the observed. They were now the observers. In his private quarters, Vorn reviewed the historical records of Earth. The images showed primitive humans wielding simple tools, living in basic shelters. How could they have advanced so quickly? How could they have hidden their progress from the Confederation's watchful eyes? The answer was both simple and terrifying. Humanity had known they were being watched all along, and they had concealed their true nature for 500,000 years, waiting for this very day. As the Confederation shuttle prepared to dock with the human flagship, Vorn couldn't shake the feeling that the galaxy would never be the same again. The hunters had become the hunted. The observers had become the observed. And humanity's patience had finally paid off. 2 days had passed since the alien ship arrived. Supreme Commander Vorn and 5 members of his crew now sat in the grand meeting chamber of the United Earth Council. The room was large and circular, with high ceilings and walls of polished stone. The aliens shifted uncomfortably in their seats, designed for human bodies rather than their own. Across from them sat the human delegation. They wore simple but elegant uniforms of deep blue with silver trim. Vorn noticed how calm they all seemed, too calm for a species meeting aliens for the first time. Chief Ambassador Li Min rose from his seat. He was tall for a human, with short gray hair and eyes that seemed to look through rather than at the aliens. "Welcome to Earth," he said, his voice carrying easily across the room. "For countless generations, the Confederation has watched our world, believing us unaware. But we detected your observation drones 500,000 years ago, when our ancestors were still learning to create tools." The translator relayed the words to Vorn and his team. Vorn's 4 eyes blinked rapidly in surprise. "Impossible," he blurted out, his translator struggling to keep pace with his stammering response. "Your kind was primitive. You could not possibly have detected our quantum-cloaked observers." Admiral Park Jin-ho, sitting to Ambassador Li's right, smiled thinly. "Yet we did. And while you watched, we grew. While your civilization stagnated in complacency, humanity united and advanced." Vorn felt a chill run through his body. He turned to Science Officer Tennell, who looked equally shocked. "How?" Tennell asked. "The quantum cloaking technology is undetectable. Even our most advanced races cannot spot them without prior knowledge." Ambassador Li clasped his hands together on the table. "One of your drones malfunctioned. It crashed in what you would call Northern Asia. Our ancestors found it. They could not understand it, but they knew it was not of Earth. They preserved it, studied it across generations. Eventually, we learned enough to detect the others." Admiral Park leaned forward. "Your civilization made a critical error. You assumed that because we did not respond, we did not know. You watched us develop at what seemed like a normal pace for an evolving species. You did not realize we were advancing in secret, hiding our true capabilities." Vorn's secondary eyes narrowed with suspicion. "If what you say is true, why reveal yourselves now? Why not continue to hide?" "Because it is time," said Ambassador Li simply. "Humanity has reached a point where secrecy no longer serves our purposes. We wish to take our place in the galactic community, on our terms." After the initial meeting, the human representatives suggested a tour. Vorn and his team were escorted through corridors lined with artwork depicting human history. Many showed scenes of space exploration and technological achievement dating back thousands of years, achievements the Confederation had never observed. They rode a transparent elevator up through the massive space station. When the doors opened, they stepped onto an observation deck with walls made entirely of clear material that offered an unobstructed view of space. What Vorn saw made his heart race. Stretching farther than his eyes could see were thousands of massive warships under construction. Automated building drones swarmed around skeletal frameworks. Completed vessels moved in formation, their engines glowing with strange blue energy that the Confederation's scientists had theorized but never successfully created. "By the 7 moons," whispered Diplomat Creel, his voice barely audible. "Their fleet is larger than all Confederation forces combined." Commander Kim Hanna approached, carrying a tray with refreshments. Her movements were graceful and precise. She offered the tray to the aliens, who hesitantly accepted the drinks. "This is merely our home defense force," she said casually. "Our exploration and primary battle fleets are currently deployed elsewhere." Vorn nearly dropped his drink. "Elsewhere? You mean beyond your solar system?" Admiral Park joined them at the window. "We established our first extrasolar colony 300,000 years ago. Currently, humanity maintains settlements in 47 star systems. We have mapped and explored over 1,200. Why have we never detected these colonies?" Tennell asked. "The same reason you never detected our true development on Earth," Admiral Park replied. "We developed technology specifically designed to hide from your observation methods." Ambassador Lee gestured toward a particularly large vessel under construction. "We have been patient. We learned everything about your Confederation, while revealing nothing about ourselves. We know your strengths. We know your weaknesses." Diplomat Creel stepped forward, his voice shaking slightly. "Is this a threat?" "No," Ambassador Lee said firmly. "This is reality. The galaxy has changed, and the Confederation must adapt to this new reality." Later that day, alone with his team in their assigned quarters, Vorn struggled to process what he had learned. "They've been watching us watch them," Tennell said quietly. "For 500,000 years." Diplomat Creel paced nervously. "We must report this to the High Council immediately. Humanity represents a significant threat to Confederation security." "No," Vorn said, surprising himself with his own certainty. "If they wanted to harm us, they could have done so long ago. They chose revelation over domination. That must count for something." He looked out the window at Earth, that blue planet that had kept its secrets for so long. "The question now is not what humanity might do to us, but what we might learn from them. They achieved in secret what we could not achieve in the open." As night fell over that side of the Earth, the lights of human cities created patterns across the continents. To Vorn, they looked like stars reaching up to claim their place in the cosmos. And for the first time in his long career, Supreme Commander Vorn felt something he had never expected to feel toward a supposedly primitive species: respect. The emergency alert started with a high-pitched wail that made everyone freeze. Red lights flashed across the walls of the Earth space station. Both humans and aliens looked up in confusion. Admiral Park was meeting with Supreme Commander Vorn when the alert came through. A young officer rushed into the room, his face pale. "Admiral, unknown vessels have appeared at the edge of our solar system," he reported. "They're attacking the Confederation support ships that were waiting outside our defense perimeter." Vorn's 4 eyes widened in horror. He jumped to his feet. "Show me," he demanded. The officer activated a wall display. It showed strange ships that looked like they were made of crystal. Their surfaces reflected light in odd patterns as they moved through space. They fired bright beams at smaller ships that were clearly trying to escape. "The Void Harbingers," gasped Vorn, his voice shaking with fear. "They've followed us here. We are doomed. They've destroyed our greatest battleships with ease." Admiral Park remained seated. He studied the display calmly, as if this were a minor problem rather than an attack. "How many Harbinger vessels do you count?" he asked the officer. 73, sir. They appear to be a full battle group." Park nodded once. He tapped his communication badge. "This is Admiral Park. Battle stations. Deploy combat groups 3 through 7. Defensive formation Delta." He turned to Vorn. "Your people will be safe. Please remain here." "You don't understand," Vorn said, his voice rising. "The Harbingers have destroyed entire civilizations. 3 years ago, they annihilated our most advanced battle fleet in minutes. We lost 30,000 crew members." Park stood up slowly. "I understand perfectly, Commander Vorn. Please, sit down. Would you like to observe our response?" Before Vorn could answer, Park walked to the display and expanded the view. The station had observation feeds from throughout the solar system. Park selected one that showed Earth's orbital defense platforms. Hundreds of ships were already moving out from hidden positions. Their black hulls seemed to absorb the starlight around them. They moved with incredible speed, leaving trails of blue energy behind them. "Impossible," whispered Tennel, who had joined them. "No ship can accelerate that quickly. The crew would be crushed." Park smiled slightly. "Our inertial dampening systems are quite advanced. The crew feels no effects from the acceleration." The display switched to show the Harbinger fleet. The crystal ships had formed a battle line and were advancing deeper into the solar system. They seemed confident, unworried about any resistance. On the bridge of the UES Indomitable, Captain Yoon-jun sat in his command chair. His crew worked efficiently around him, preparing weapons and shields. No one showed any signs of fear. "Combat groups 3 through 7 are in position," Captain reported his tactical officer. "Good," Captain Yoon said. "Maintain defensive formation Delta. Hold position until the enemy is within optimal range." The Harbinger fleet continued to advance. Suddenly, they detected the human ships waiting for them. The crystal vessels adjusted their formation, pointing their weapons forward. "They're charging weapons, Captain," the tactical officer said. "Hold position," Captain Yoon ordered calmly. The Harbingers fired. Brilliant beams of energy shot toward the human ships. These same weapons had destroyed Confederation battleships with a single hit. But when they struck the human shields, something unexpected happened. The beams simply dissipated, spreading across the shield surfaces like water. Not a single human ship was damaged. In the observation room, Vorn stared in disbelief. "That's impossible," he said. "Their weapons can cut through our strongest shields like they aren't even there." Admiral Park nodded. "Their weapons are impressive, but our shield technology developed along different lines than yours. We use phase-shifting harmonics that adapt to incoming energy signatures." On the Indomitable, Captain Yoon leaned forward slightly. "Return fire," he ordered. "Standard yield only. No need to show our full capabilities yet." The human ships fired as one. Instead of bright beams, their weapons released pulses of dark energy that were almost difficult to see against the blackness of space. When these pulses struck the crystal ships, they didn't explode. Instead, the crystal structures simply came apart, breaking into pieces as if their molecular bonds had been severed. Within 5 minutes, half of the Harbinger fleet was either drifting in pieces or turning to flee. The human ships pursued methodically, disabling more enemy vessels without destroying them completely. In the observation room, Vorn sank into a chair. His hands trembled. "How?" he asked weakly. "How is this possible? The Harbingers have terrorized our region of space for centuries. Nobody can stand against them." Admiral Park watched the display with a critical eye. "Your Confederation relied too heavily on a single pathway of technological development. When you encountered a species that developed along a different path, like the Harbingers, you had no counter to their advantages." He turned to face Vorn. "Humanity took a different approach. We explored all possible technologies, not just the obvious ones. We developed counters for theoretical weapons that we had never even encountered." The display showed the remaining Harbinger ships trying to escape. The human vessels easily kept pace, disabling engines and weapon systems with surgical precision. "You're capturing them alive?" Tennel asked in surprise. "Of course," Admiral Park replied. We want to understand them better. Knowledge is as valuable as victory. Captain Yoon's voice came through the communication system. Admiral, all Harbinger vessels have been neutralized. We have rescued the surviving Confederation crew members. Casualties were minimal. Thank you, Captain. Admiral Park replied. Secure the prisoners and begin recovery operations for any technology we might find useful. Supreme Commander Vorn looked up at Admiral Park with new understanding in his 4 eyes. You could have destroyed them all in seconds, couldn't you? Admiral Park didn't answer directly. Combat Groups 3 through 7 represent less than 5% of our total military force, Commander Vorn. We deployed what was necessary, nothing more. Vorn stood up slowly. The Confederation has feared the Harbingers for generations. They have destroyed hundreds of our worlds. And you defeated them with, what did you call it? Standard yield weapons. Yes, Park said simply. Our primary concern was protecting your people and preserving information. Had we used our full capabilities, there would have been nothing left to study. As they watched the human ships towing disabled Harbinger vessels toward Earth, Vorn realized that everything he thought he knew about power in the galaxy had changed. The species his people had once observed as primitives had just casually defeated their greatest enemy, an enemy that had brought the mighty Confederation to its knees, and they had done it with minimal effort. The meeting room on Earth's orbital headquarters was bright and airy. Large windows showed the curve of Earth below and the stars beyond. 7 aliens and 7 humans sat around a circular table made of polished wood. Counselor Jang Dat-hyun stood at the head of the table. He was shorter than most of the other humans, but he had a powerful presence. He wore the blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps, with gold trim indicating his high rank. After your recent encounter with the Harbingers, we believe a formal alliance would benefit both our peoples, Counselor Jang said. He pressed a button, and a document appeared on screens in front of each person. Our protection in exchange for fair trade and cultural exchange. We have much to offer each other. Supreme Commander Vorn read the document carefully. The terms were generous. Earth would provide defense against the Harbingers and other threats. They would share some of their technology, though Vorn noticed it was mostly medical and agricultural advancements, not military ones. In return, the Confederation would open its trade routes to human ships and share its cultural knowledge. This is more than fair, Vorn said, nodding eagerly. The Confederation would be honored to form an alliance with Earth. His aide, Specialist Krell, shifted uncomfortably beside him. Krell was younger than the other aliens, with sharp features and quick movements. While the others discussed details of the alliance, Krell quietly excused himself, claiming he needed to use the restroom facilities. Instead of going to the designated area for visitors, Krell made his way through the station's corridors. He moved purposefully, as if he knew exactly where he was going. He passed through areas marked with warning signs in multiple languages. The few humans he encountered paid little attention to him. What Krell didn't notice was Commander Kim Hannah following several meters behind. She moved silently, staying just out of sight. Unlike Krell, who wore the formal robes of a Confederation diplomat, Commander Kim was dressed in plain black clothing that helped her blend into shadows. Krell eventually reached a door marked Restricted Access, Authorized Personnel Only. He pulled out a small device and attached it to the security panel. The device glowed briefly, and the door slid open. Inside was a darkened room filled with computer terminals. Krell moved quickly to the main station and inserted another device. The screen lit up, showing files and schematics of Earth's defense systems. Looking for something? Commander Kim asked, stepping from the shadows. Krell spun around, his hand moving to his waist. He pulled out a small weapon that had somehow escaped the security scans. "Stay back," he hissed. "I wouldn't do that if I were you," Commander Kim said calmly. Krell's eyes narrowed. "Your species is too dangerous to be allowed such power," he said. "The Confederation has monitored thousands of developing civilizations. None have advanced as quickly as humans. None have developed such destructive capabilities. You are a threat to galactic stability." And stealing our technology will help how? Commander Kim asked. The High Council believes that understanding your weapon systems will allow us to develop countermeasures, Krell admitted. Your kind must be contained before you expand further. He didn't notice the tall figure approaching from behind him until it was too late. Senior Security Officer Bod-1 moved with surprising speed for his size. His hand closed around Krell's wrist, squeezing until the alien dropped his weapon. We knew about your plans before you even arrived in our system, Officer Boz said, disarming the alien with casual ease. The Confederation has been plotting to steal our technology for centuries. Krell struggled briefly, then went limp in defeat. How did you know? We have been monitoring your communications since before you discovered our radio signals, Commander Kim explained. We know the Confederation has been debating what to do about Earth for a very long time. Vorn stood up slowly. The Confederation has feared the Harbingers for generations. They have destroyed hundreds of our worlds. And you defeated them with, what did you call it? Standard yield weapons. Yes, Park said simply. Our primary concern was protecting your people and preserving information. Had we used our full capabilities, there would have been nothing left to study. As they watched the human ships towing disabled Harbinger vessels toward Earth, Vorn realized that everything he thought he knew about power in the galaxy had changed. The species his people had once observed as primitives had just casually defeated their greatest enemy, an enemy that had brought the mighty Confederation to its knees. And they had done it with minimal effort. The meeting room on Earth's orbital headquarters was bright and airy. Large windows showed the curve of Earth below and the stars beyond. 7 aliens and 7 humans sat around a circular table made of polished wood. Counselor Jang Da-hyun stood at the head of the table. He was shorter than most of the other humans, but he had a powerful presence. He wore the blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps, with gold trim indicating his high rank. After your recent encounter with the Harbingers, we believe a formal alliance would benefit both our peoples, Counselor Jang said. He pressed a button, and a document appeared on screens in front of each person. Our protection in exchange for fair trade and cultural exchange. We have much to offer each other. Supreme Commander Vorn read the document carefully. The terms were generous. Earth would provide defense against the Harbingers and other threats. They would share some of their technology. Though Vorn noticed it was mostly medical and agricultural advancements, not military ones. In return, the Confederation would open its trade routes to human ships and share its cultural knowledge. This is more than fair, Vorn said, nodding eagerly. The Confederation would be honored to form an alliance with Earth. His aide, Specialist Krell, shifted uncomfortably beside him. Krell was younger than the other aliens, with sharp features and quick movements. While the others discussed details of the alliance, Krell quietly excused himself, claiming he needed to use the restroom facilities. Instead of going to the designated area for visitors, Krell made his way through the station's corridors. He moved purposefully, as if he knew exactly where he was going. He passed through areas marked with warning signs in multiple languages. The few humans he encountered paid little attention to him. What Krell didn't notice was Commander Kim Hannah following several meters behind. She moved silently, staying just out of sight. Unlike Krell, who wore the formal robes of a Confederation diplomat, Commander Kim was dressed in plain black clothing that helped her blend into shadows. Krell eventually reached a door marked Restricted Access, authorized personnel only. He pulled out a small device and attached it to the security panel. The device glowed briefly, and the door slid open. Inside was a darkened room filled with computer terminals. Krell moved quickly to the main station and inserted another device. The screen lit up, showing files and schematics of Earth's defense systems. Looking for something? Commander Kim asked, stepping from the shadows. Krell spun around, his hand moving to his waist. He pulled out a small weapon that had somehow escaped the security scans. "Stay back," he hissed. "I wouldn't do that if I were you," Commander Kim said calmly. Krell's eyes narrowed. "Your species is too dangerous to be allowed such power," he said. The Confederation has monitored thousands of developing civilizations. None have advanced as quickly as humans. None have developed such destructive capabilities. You are a threat to galactic stability. And stealing our technology will help how? Commander Kim asked. The High Council believes that understanding your weapons systems will allow us to develop countermeasures, Krell admitted. Your kind must be contained before you expand further. He didn't notice the tall figure approaching from behind him until it was too late. Senior Security Officer Badawan moved with surprising speed for his size. His hand closed around Krell's wrist, squeezing until the alien dropped his weapon. We knew about your plans before you even arrived in our system, Officer Ba said, disarming the alien with casual ease. The Confederation has been plotting to steal our technology for centuries. Krell struggled briefly, then went limp in defeat. How did you know? We have been monitoring your communications since before you discovered our radio signals, Commander Kim explained. We know the Confederation has been debating what to do about Earth for a very long time. 1 hour later, in the main council chamber, Admiral Park stood before the full Confederation delegation. Specialist Krell sat in a chair to the side, guarded by 2 human security officers. The other aliens looked confused and alarmed. Your spy has been apprehended, Admiral Park said, his voice echoing in the large room. Did you truly believe we wouldn't detect your intentions? Supreme Commander Vorn rose to his feet. Admiral, I assure you I had no knowledge of this operation. Specialist Krell must have been acting on secret orders from the High Council, Admiral Park finished for him. Yes, we know. He touched a control panel, and a massive holographic display appeared in the center of the room. It showed detailed schematics of planets, space stations, and defense systems. Every alien in the room recognized their homeworlds, their most important military installations, and even their most classified research facilities. This is impossible, whispered one of the alien diplomats. These are our most secret installations. We could have destroyed your civilization at any time in the past 300,000 years. Admiral Park stated simply. Instead, we waited, hoping you would evolve beyond treachery. Vorn sank back into his chair. How? How did you obtain this information? Admiral Park walked slowly around the table. The Confederation believes it has been exploring the galaxy, discovering new species, building an enlightened society. The truth is more complex. Humanity expanded beyond our solar system long before your people first reached for the stars. He gestured to the display, which now showed a map of the galaxy. Countless points of light indicated human outposts and colonies throughout. We have observed the Confederation from within. Many species you believe to be recent discoveries have been part of our network for millennia. Some of your own citizens work for us, believing in a different future for the galaxy. The aliens looked at each other in growing horror as they realized the implications. What do you want from us? Vorn asked finally. Exactly what Counselor Jang offered earlier, Admiral Park replied. A genuine alliance, not one based on fear or domination, but on mutual respect and cooperation. Why offer us anything? Another diplomat asked. You clearly don't need our help. Admiral Park's expression softened slightly. Because despite your flaws, your Confederation represents something important, an attempt to bring different species together in peace. That ideal is worth preserving, even if the execution has been flawed. He turned to Specialist Krell. Your mission was doomed from the start, but it has served a purpose. Now your leaders will understand that deception is not an option. Later that night, Supreme Commander Vorn stood alone on an observation deck. The view of Earth filled him with a mixture of awe and fear. Beautiful, isn't it? Commander Kim asked, joining him. Yes, Vorn admitted. I never imagined I would find a world of primitives so humbling. We were never primitives, Commander Kim said gently. Just patient. Vorn turned to her. What happens now? That depends on your people. The alliance offer remains open, but now it will be negotiated with complete honesty on both sides. Vorn looked back at the blue planet. I believe we will accept. We have much to learn from humanity. And perhaps, Commander Kim suggested, we have things to learn from you as well. The Grand Assembly on Earth was the largest gathering of alien species ever held in one place. 200 different civilizations sent their leaders. They filled the massive circular chamber with colors, shapes, and sizes that showed the amazing variety of life in the galaxy. The room itself was impressive. It was built inside a mountain, with walls of polished stone, and a ceiling that showed the real-time movements of stars and planets. The seats were arranged in rising circles, so everyone could see the center stage. Director Choi Eun walked to the middle of the room. She was not a tall woman, and her simple gray uniform looked plain next to the fancy clothes of the alien visitors. But when she spoke, everyone fell silent. "Welcome to Earth," she said, her voice clear and strong. "For too long, the galaxy has been governed by fear, deception, and exploitation. Today, that changes." She raised her hand, and a huge image appeared above her. It showed a strange, dark planet with a broken surface. Around the planet flew hundreds of human ships. "This is the home world of the Void Harbingers," Director Choi explained. "The species that terrorize you for millennia has been contained. They will harm no one else." A murmur ran through the crowd. Many of the aliens had lost worlds to the Harbingers. Some had been running from them for generations. Now they learned that humans had not only defeated the Harbingers, but found and secured their homeworld. "How is this possible?" asked a tall, thin alien with silver skin. "Our best scouts searched for their homeworld for centuries without success. We found it because we looked differently," Director Choi said. "The Harbingers used space-folding technology to hide their planet in a pocket of distorted spacetime. Our scientists developed ways to detect such distortions long ago." Supreme Commander Vorn, now wearing the special robes of the Confederation's chief representative, stepped forward to join Director Choi. His 4 eyes blinked in the bright lights. "1 month ago, I believe humans were barely worth noticing," he said, his voice carrying across the chamber. "Now I stand before you to say this. Humanity could rule the galaxy with their power, yet they offer partnership instead. The Confederation accepts Earth's terms and pledges to reform our ways." Director Choi nodded in thanks. "We offer a new structure for galactic cooperation. No longer will the strong dominate the weak. No longer will some species be watched and studied like animals while others make decisions about their fate." She touched a control, and a new image appeared. It showed a complex web connecting different stars. "This is our proposal for the United Galactic Alliance. Each species will have an equal voice. Resources will be shared fairly. Technology will be developed for the benefit of all, not hoarded by the powerful." The meeting continued for hours as details were discussed and questions answered. By the end, all 200 civilizations had agreed to join the new alliance. Even those who had been enemies for thousands of years signed the agreements. As the assembly ended, aliens began returning to their ships. From the observation deck, high above the docking bays, Admiral Park and Commander Kim watched the colorful vessels prepare for departure. "Do you think they understand what really happened?" asked Commander Kim. Admiral Park smiled slightly. "They believe we advanced naturally over 500,000 years. They need not know about the temporal acceleration fields or how we experienced millions of years of development while they saw only 500,000. Commander Kim looked thoughtful. "And the precursor technology we discovered. Some secrets remain ours alone, Commander," Admiral Park said quietly. "For now, it's enough that peace has a chance." He turned his gaze toward the stars visible through the large window. "Humanity stands ready, should that chance fail." Below them, Supreme Commander Vorn was speaking with Director Choi before boarding his ship. "There is something I must ask," Vorn said hesitantly. "How did humans advance so quickly? Even with 500,000 years, the leap from stone tools to technology that surpasses the oldest races in the galaxy seems impossible." Director Choi smiled gently. "Perhaps we were simply motivated by knowing we were being watched. Perhaps we had help you don't know about. Does it matter now that we are allies? Vorn considered this. I suppose not, but I cannot help feeling there is more to the story of humanity than you have shared. All species have their secrets, Commander, Director Choi replied. In time, trust builds, and more is revealed. This is just the beginning of our journey together. Meanwhile, deep beneath the surface of Earth's moon, in a facility unknown even to most humans, a team of scientists worked around a strange artifact. It was a perfect cube of material that seemed to shift between solid and energy. Ancient symbols crawled across its surface. Chief Scientist Han pushed his glasses up his nose as he studied the readings. The precursor device is still functioning perfectly after all this time, he noted. Without it, we would never have created the temporal acceleration fields. His assistant nodded. Do you think we'll ever tell the other species about it? Perhaps someday, Han replied. When they're ready to understand that humanity didn't just advance quickly, we experienced time differently. What was 500,000 years for them was millions of years of development for us, inside our shielded zones. In orbit around Earth, the massive human defense fleet maintained its vigilant watch. The sleek black ships were nearly invisible against the darkness of space. Their weapons remained powered down but ready. Many carried the technology that had allowed humanity to compress time itself, to develop in secret while being observed. The galaxy was entering a new age, one of cooperation and peace, if all went well. But underneath the promises and treaties lay the quiet understanding that humanity had forever changed the balance of power. And in the vastness of space, countless human outposts and colonies stood ready, a silent reminder that the species once thought primitive now held the fate of the galaxy in its hands.